Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kathy Brandt. I've been attending First Church here since the early 1980s. Back in 2015, November of 2015, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And totally out of the blue, totally unexpected, never thought I'd hear those words. There were lots of nights where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I laid in my bed and cried. And one of those things where you plead and say, God, take this away, take it away, take it away. I didn't know how to pray anymore. Didn't know how to pray at all. And many nights, all I could just say was, Jesus. That's all I could say was his name. Because I knew that he knew my worry, and he knew my concerns, and he knew my fears, because there were many of them. I got to my oncology appointment on Tuesday, and the PET scan results were back, and it was probably one of the first rays of hope that I saw, because it had not gone to my lymph nodes. It had not metastasized anywhere else in my body. It was localized to that one small lump. I just saw God in so many ways. I got to the hospital that day, and who should I see when I walk out onto the third floor but Kim Pearsall, sitting at the nurse's station. And again, one of those little God sightings. As I was going back to the waiting room after the scan, who should I see but Christy Reisner. She was there doing MRIs that day, and she could come out and give me a hug. That Tuesday before, wheeling me out, who should I see but Lorna Quirk, coming into work. And again, another hug, another reassurance that there were people praying and that they cared. As my treatments progressed, Linda Hill brought me a book. And it was just a book about how to look for God in everyday situations. So I started looking back, because I realized I couldn't focus just on the negatives. I had to look for something positive each day. So I looked back and I saw those things where God led me to wonderful doctors, where I met people at the hospital that I knew here from church and that cared. I think one of the funniest ones was leaving Dr. Schulz's office. I was pretty discouraged, and what should be sitting in front of my car but a squirrel who had found some kid's sucker that had been tossed aside, and he was literally sitting on his haunches with his paws wrapped around the stick of a dum-dum sucker and licking at it and chewing it for all it was worth. And I stood there and just laughed, because I thought, God, you gave me something to humor today. You gave me humor. And it was just fun to watch. As the chemo progressed, I really did pretty well with it. I didn't get real nauseous. I did find God was faithful in that. But each day I could look for little glimpses of God. Whether it was two young men who shaved my head willingly, that squirrel with the dum-dum sucker, or a group of ladies who came over to my house one evening, and we decorated face masks that we could wear in case I was around anyone with infection to protect me, and just had the best time decorating those with sequins and beads and feathers and you name it, it was on there, and we could hot glue to our heart's content, and modeled them after that. And then we topped off the evening with hot fudge brownie sundaes, and there's nothing better than hot fudge brownie sundaes. And so I made it through. July of 2016, I finished radiation, and now I could celebrate 1 year of being cancer-free and going on. God was faithful to me that I didn't have to worry Was I going to be able to pay for the treatments? Was I going to be able to pay for surgeries? Yeah, I had the deductibles to pay, but that was such a small portion of what the costs were. God saw to it that I didn't have to worry, that I didn't have to worry about finances. That gave me a lot of peace. Through it all, God was by my side every step of the way. Whether I cried, whether I knew what to pray about, no matter what, God knew my needs. He met each one, not always on my time schedule, but certainly on His time schedule. God just isn't in my yesterdays, or He's not just in my tomorrows. He's in my todays.